let's say there is child pornography on Nostr, which has been the case. Now, the problem is not that the thing called child pornography exists on the network. The problem is that those guys somehow created child pornography or somehow got their hands in child pornography. So now you have to come down a little bit and you have to be like, okay, how is it possible that this crime is being done? How is it possible that someone is exploiting someone? How do you stop that? Do you allow cameras into everyone's homes so that the police stations can be watching them? Or do you try to instill all the ethics in people's minds from their childhood so that they don't grow up to be terrible human beings? You get into all sorts of philosophical questions about ethics, morality, of crime and punishment and authority in the real world. Now you have moved out of Nostr.
For those watching who don't know you, who don't know what you do, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. So I work on Nostr, which is the topic that we're going to be talking about today, and I work on Bitcoin. So currently my full-time job is to work with a company called Bull Bitcoin. They are a Canadian exchange, Bitcoin exchange, and they also have a wallet. So I work on the wallet side, Bitcoin wallet.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my full-time job now, but it's been just a few months now. And before that, I don't think I ever worked on Bitcoin stuff specifically, but I was working on Nostr stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I have been into Nostr since the beginning, and I have also done like web development stuff.
When was the beginning of Nostr?
When did Nostr start? I think it started in 2022, the end of 2022.
Okay.
That was before I got into even Bitcoin, so I had no idea about Nostr at that time. Or maybe it was early 2021, I'm not sure. I think Feb of 2021, that could have been the beginning as well. So I got into it around, so it has to be after June of 2021, because before that it was like 1 year of me smoking pot, not doing anything in college. So yeah, so that was, I had like no ambitions in life. I was not doing anything. So then after I finished my college, I was sitting at home for like 7 months, not doing anything. And all I did was watch Andreas Antonopoulos, all his videos on YouTube. And yeah, I got into Bitcoin. And at the same time, I discovered Fiat Jeff. I used to follow him on Twitter.
Who is that?
Fiat Jeff. The guy goes by Fiat Jeff. He's a Brazilian Bitcoin dev.
Okay.
And he created Nostr basically.
Okay, so Nostr has been created by someone.
Yeah.
And the identity of that person is known.
I mean, yeah, people know him. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like Satoshi Nakamoto, some hidden.
I mean, his name is, it's a pseudonym. Fiat Jeff is a pseudonym. So, but yeah, we know that he's a Brazilian guy. That's all.
Okay, but do we know how he looks like?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he's kept himself relatively hidden.
Yeah. I mean, he's not as hidden as Satoshi, but yeah,
Okay.
people don't know him like personally.
Huh.
So,
Okay. What is Nostr?
okay, good question. So, it's a bit difficult to explain because I'll have to explain a few other things before I explain what Nostr is.
Okay.
I will explain what a protocol is in software development or networking or network, like basically in the internet, what a protocol is, right?
Okay.
So you have these apps on your phone. It can be Google Calendar, it can be Gmail, it can be Facebook, Instagram, whatever, right? These apps are using some kind of protocol because they have to communicate with some other servers or some other computers that are not in the position of the person who is using the phone. So they are owned by Twitter, they are owned by Facebook. And the operating system also has to communicate, like it also has its own language of communicating with other systems. So the internet itself is not a thing that exists, or it's not a product of someone. It is a protocol. A protocol is like a language that is spoken by computers. So for example, let's say TCP/IP. TCP/IP is a protocol. There are other protocols as well, like UDP, but we don't have to get there. But let's just say TCP/IP is also known in layman terms as the internet. So that's the thing that like defines how data should be packaged and sent over long distances from one system to another. Okay. It can be via USB, it can be via wireless. So Bluetooth is also a protocol. Bluetooth is also working with wavelengths, but it defines how to encode the data. Let's say you're sending a picture from your phone to my phone using Bluetooth. Bluetooth is using wireless, those radio frequencies, but it is defining how the data should be packaged together so that the other phone can also understand it. to be able to reconstruct it into the picture that you have sent. Same way, you have another protocol, let's say SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, that we call email.
Okay.
So email is a protocol. Again, email is not a service. It's not something that's offered by a company, but it's a defined specification. It's a language that is spoken by let's say you have Thunderbird or some kind of email client on your laptop. That software speaks that language. The server that you are communicating with, let's say you are using Gmail and you're checking your mails in Thunderbird by connecting your Gmail account there. Then Gmail, the server that's run by Gmail, they're also speaking the same language. Let's say you're using Gmail to send an email to Outlook. The Outlook server, the one owned by or run by Microsoft, that is also speaking the same language. That's also using the same protocol, SMTP or whatever. And that's the mechanism through which data from one server or from your system or your laptop is traveling around and you are able to communicate with other people.
In the case of Gmail,
Yes.
aren't two protocols involved because you're using the internet and you're using SMTP.
If you are using Gmail on the browser, then you're using, they're using multiple protocols, but three main ones are involved: TCP/IP, then the SMTP or the email related protocols, and the protocols that are built for the web, which will be HTTP primarily, hypertext transfer protocol. So basically HTTP and the related things are called as the web mostly. So
what is the difference between HTTP and TCP/IP?
TCP/IP defines how data move at the lowest level. HTTP is meant for the web and it's also used by applications. So you construct, let's say in a spoken language, now we are speaking English or you can be speaking Hindi or whatever language. That is one layer of thing. But how is the language itself being communicated? It is using sound waves. I can write it down as well and send it to you, right? That would be TCP/IP. Whether we're writing it down or we're speaking it, that is, let's say, considered TCP/IP. Whether we're speaking English or Hindi or what, that becomes something that is built on top of this medium of communication. So HTTP, SMTP, etc. are built on top of things like TCP/IP or UDP. Those are protocols that sit lower at the level. So, yeah.
People keep asking me where to buy Bitcoin safely in India. I use GetBit for all my Bitcoin purchases. It's the one I recommend to friends and family as well. GetBit is India's first Bitcoin only exchange. No distractions, no casino coins, only Bitcoin. You can set up a Bitcoin SIP with GetBit starting at just ₹100, which makes stacking sats really easy. And whenever you're ready, you can withdraw your Bitcoin to your own private wallet for free. So you don't ever have to worry about a hack. If you want to check it out, you can use my code DVJBTC for 30% off on platform fees for the first 3 months. The link is in the description. It's a bit confusing.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the analogy helps a little. So anything that you do that involves the internet will have TCP/IP involved as a means of packaging and transmitting that data to different servers and different devices, right? Now, once you're using the internet, you're on, let's say, Amazon.com versus you're on Gmail.com. They're going to use different sets of protocols.
Yeah. So
Gmail.com will use SMTP.
Yeah.
It will also use HTTP, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because you are loading the Gmail front end, the app interface itself using a browser. So it is using HTTP.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Amazon will use HTTP, but it won't use SMTP.
Yeah, roughly speaking. Yeah. Unless they're sending you emails.
Okay.
Then-
But let's say there are messages within Amazon. Like within the app, you have notifications and you are, let's say, chatting with the support staff of Amazon.
Yeah.
That's not SMTP necessarily.
No. Most probably it's not. Because most apps do not have any use for making use of emails inside the app itself. So that becomes something completely custom. It can be anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I realize how little I understand about tech.
Yeah, but basically you have these protocols so that different systems can talk to each other. So everything is a protocol. Let's say the way an AirTag works. You have an Apple device and you buy an AirTag and you place it somewhere. How does it track your data? That's a protocol. Like it has to have a different definition of how the data is going to be packaged, how it's going to be transferred, all those things. Bluetooth is a protocol, Wi-Fi is a protocol, or it's multiple protocols, because Wi-Fi has different versions. So older versions of Wi-Fi had less security, then you added password protection and then like different stuff there. So yeah, or the way your devices are interconnected. If you're in an ecosystem like Samsung ecosystem or Apple ecosystem, in that way, when you copy something on your phone, that gets reflected on your system as well, on your laptop as well. That's also a protocol. So sometimes protocols are defined by a company for to be used within their own ecosystem. Sometimes it's an open protocol where some people just came together, they defined a protocol, they defined a language, they defined the data structure, they defined how the data will be moved around, and then anyone can adopt it. So yeah.
And Nostr is an open protocol.
Nostr is an open protocol that was created to replace Twitter, essentially, initially. Now it has evolved. Now it has evolved to be something much bigger and something that can potentially replace the entire internet, or at least the customer-facing, the user-facing side of the internet. So websites that you're using, all sorts of websites, Amazon.com or Google or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. What else can you think of? Shopify, everything basically. Tweets, all everything that you use, Nostr has a way of replacing them. Not exactly replacing them, because those apps can also make use of Nostr if they want to. But Nostr defines a way for these apps to be built, these kind of apps, all sorts of different apps, and those apps have a better chance of surviving compared to traditional systems that we're used to in the coming years for various reasons. I'll get into those later.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying
Yeah.
that Nostr is a protocol
Yes.
on which you can build basically any of the apps that we currently use. Let's say I'll pick social media apps for now. So we're talking about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can build on Nostr.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So first, let's dissect what do you mean by an app. That's it. Okay. Let's take Instagram for example. You have you've downloaded Instagram to your phone. What you downloaded is a bundle of code, which is the application interface that you see. It has like maybe it's 50 MB of code that you have downloaded from Play Store. That app itself is not Instagram, because if just that app was Instagram, then you would not be able to see anyone's content. So the calculator app is self-confined. The app doesn't need to talk to anyone else.
Okay.
What makes Instagram is you have the app on your phone or a website open. Then there are servers, which are also applications, like different form of application that just store data, forward data, which are run by Instagram or run by Meta. And they allow these different devices, like let's say you have you have Instagram installed on your phone, I have Instagram installed on my phone. It allows us to share data using their server. That's all they're doing basically.
Okay.
Right? So I post something. So what I'm doing is I'm creating some content, I'm sending it to their server, and that server is allowing you to view it or allowing some other people to view it. So it is allowing the communication between these applications. So Instagram is all these applications that people have and the servers.
Yes.
Same with Facebook, same with Twitter. Now, there is one more thing here when it comes to these applications. It's the identity. So you created one Instagram account or you logged into one Instagram account. You have the concept of an account. If you think about what an account is, it is someone else's record of something about you. If you're keeping an account about me, then it is you writing down that there is Basanta and he owes this much money to me, or his balance is this much, or his identity is this thing. So basically Instagram has a database where they're storing my email address, some hashed form of my password, my username, and yeah, those kind of info basically, and my user ID in their database, something. So they're providing an account service as well. So the identity service as well via their account system. And traditionally, that was the default system everywhere. That has been the default system for, I don't know, like 20 years probably now. Although public key cryptography exists, public keys and private keys exist, they have always existed for a long, long time. It was never that convenient to use them. So it never really took off. So what Instagram offers is, again, I don't want to get sued by Instagram. Let's switch to Twitter. There's a less chance of like Elon Musk coming after me. But okay, anyway. So what Twitter offers is, they're providing an identity for me. I'm logging into their account, their database, and they're using their database to say that, okay, this guy is writing these things. I don't have any control over it. I'm just logging in, I'm making a tweet, they're keeping a record of it so that you can see it, so that other people can see it, so that they can recommend that tweet to other random people via their algorithm and stuff. So Instagram or these applications are one application that you are using, the code that the user has.
Correct. On your phone.
On your phone, on your laptop, whatever.
Laptop.
And then their server, and there is this identity thing via an account. So these three components come together to build Instagram or to make Twitter what it is. What Nostr does is it removes that responsibility a bit. It just segregates that responsibility a little bit from the client and the server.
Okay.
So what
Who's
that
the
means?
client?
Oh, okay. Client is in general software development terms, the client is the application that you are using.
Okay, so if I'm using Twitter, then
The application that you are using,
that is the client.
that's the client.
And the server is wherever they're storing the data and then transmitting and relaying data from there. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Okay. So Nostr, what it does is it utilizes something called public key cryptography. So public key cryptography is a mathematical / computer science thing. It's a field of study that is used widely in cryptocurrencies. That's where most people know it from. But it is also used everywhere else. Like when you see HTTPS instead of HTTP, that is also using public key cryptography. And using public key cryptography, you do encryption, decryption, or signing, those kind of stuff. Those are really crucial for data protection and privacy. But Nostr uses them a little bit differently compared to all the traditional stuff.
Okay. How do the traditional websites use the public key cryptography? Because I've often been told, like as a general rule of thumb, that whenever you open a website, especially if you're revealing anything personal about yourself, anything financial about yourself, like a credit card information or your Aadhaar card or something, just check if the website has an S on it or not. If it is just HTTP, it is higher risk. If it is HTTPS, it is lower risk. Why is that? What is the difference?
Okay. When you have HTTP, so initially when those protocols were being developed, they did not have much of an importance in regards to privacy, because those were supposed to be static sites, static documents that people shared on the internet, and they were supposed to be public info. Once we had private info, we needed to have some kind of data protection and privacy. So HTTPS, what it does is, it generates one public-private key on the browser itself for that site, or for, I don't know how exactly it works. I think it's per site basis or for all these sites, but whatever. You have a public-private key pair.
Okay.
In terms of Bitcoin, if you have talked about Bitcoin before on your podcast, then people will know that Bitcoin requires you to secure 12 words. You need to write down 12 words. Those 12 words are used to generate your private key or keys, and using those 12 words, whatever private key you get, that is not shared with anyone else. Those keys are used to sign signatures and broadcast to the network in Bitcoin.
Correct.
And your public key, the one that is generated from the private key, using which you cannot generate the private key because it is private. It's like a one-way function.
Yeah.
You can use the private key to generate public. You cannot use the public to generate the private key.
Correct.
And that public key is used to generate, show the address where you will be receiving the funds.
Correct.
Right. So there are more nuance to it, but I'll not go into details. So how the browsers are working and how the traditional websites are working is, it is generating some kind of private public key pair for you.
Okay.
Server is also generating something, and while before you send the data to the server, you are encrypting everything using the public key of that server, which can only be decrypted using the private key of that server.
Okay, so you use the public key of that server
Yeah.
in some form to encrypt the data.
Yes.
And because you're using the public key of that server, the private key can decrypt it.
Yes. But no one else can decrypt it.
Because only they have the private key.
Yes.
Okay.
So otherwise, what you get is a thing called man in the middle attack. So basically, someone in between. Let's say I'm logging into my bank account, and it's not over HTTPS; it is over HTTP. Then the data that's being sent from my phone to the Wi-Fi or the router. From here, the data goes to some kind of hub in the back of the building. From there, another wire travels to some office or some regional hub that all the Bangalore connections connect to. From there, it probably goes to Mumbai or Hyderabad, where the bank server is. Then it again, the data comes back to me, right? So all the traveling that happens, anyone in between can listen to the communication that's happening, anyone in the path, and they will be able to see exactly what your email and login password is,
Oh.
and then what the data that is being sent back from the server is. The bank, if the bank is saying that okay, your balance is 5,000 rupees, anyone will be able to see it, and it's just no way it's secure at all because anyone will be able to log into your service. That's how how all traditional sites secure themselves. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to save the private key anywhere because the browser does it automatically. The applications do it automatically, and yeah, it encrypts all the data before sending it somewhere.
Can I ask a very dumb question?
Yes.
What happens if the server,
Yeah.
they lose the private key somehow?
Okay.
Can they lose it?
They can lose it.
What happens if they lose it?
Okay. So, okay, I'll give a bit more, I'll go deeper into this explanation now. So, all the encryption that is happening, the key does not have to stay static. The key can be changed because your laptop or your phone comes with a bunch of trusted public keys. So there is a hierarchy that is created here. So you have a bunch of trusted public keys owned by something known as certificate authorities. So there can be, I think, like 100 or something, 120 or something. And those are companies that are supposed to be trusted.
So who decides?
Google will decide it and then they will put it into Chrome, or Microsoft will decide it and then put it into Windows. So you have those companies that have public keys and those are supposed to be trusted, and they say that yes, this guy is this server is generating this private key. I mean, this public key belongs to this server because it was generated by them, and we have verified it. And there is a verification mechanism, and they will sign this message, and then they will send it to you. So your browser knows that okay, I'm not talking to the wrong guy. Okay. So there is a level of trust involved, because otherwise, when you're talking to Amazon.com, there is no such thing as Amazon.com. It's just a string. So there has to be someone maintaining the list of what Amazon.com even means. When you say Amazon.com, what's the IP address of that? There has to be someone maintaining it. And that's the guys that deal with domains. So you have domain registers like GoDaddy, Namecheap. You have some middle authorities, and at the top you have ICANN. I think it's ICANN, Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers. I think that's the full form. So that's an organization that's maintaining control over all the domain names, every domain name. And then you have IANA, I think, that also controls all the IP addresses. So it is a completely centralized system right now. So although no one has abused it, no one, has taken away someone's domain because they said something wrong, which tends to happen a lot on Twitter, by the way. It's the same thing as Twitter. Twitter also have usernames provided by Twitter. And if you say something wrong, they can just take away your account. Or they can just take away your domain name, your username, and give it to someone else. They can do that. Thankfully, no one has abused, ICANN has not abused their powers yet. But yeah, so domain names are a centralizing factor, and there are authorities that verify that, okay, because this domain name belongs to this IP address, and this certificate I have verified that this certificate was generated by this server.
This certificate, what do you mean?
Not certificate. This public key, private key was generated by this server. So I can give you a certificate, which is basically signing and saying that, okay, I trust that this public key belongs to this server. So if the server loses it, you request another one from them, I mean, you generate a new one and you ask them to verify it again, and they will verify it again. Then your system also trusts them.
Okay, so but in the time gap
Yeah.
between losing your current private key
As a server,
as a server
Yeah.
and then generating a new private key and getting it approved and verified,
Yeah.
what happens in the time gap to a user of that server? Let's say Meta lost the private key for Instagram servers. And it takes them 2 days to get a new, let's say it takes them 2 days to get a new private key verified from ICAP.
I can.
I can. What happens in those 2 days?
You see some kind of error on the browser that says security risk, proceed anyway. Sometimes you see that, right? You will go to a site and it will say this site does not support HTTPS connections, and you will have the option of proceed anyway. It can be unsafe. Some error it will show, or some kind of information it will show.
Yeah.
So that's what happens basically.
Okay, so it doesn't crash the website.
Yeah.
It just takes away the secured, encrypted aspect of it. So you can still communicate to the servers, but you're taking a risk because you're not communicating in a secured way.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Does this happen with the big companies ever? Like, does it ever happen with Insta or Twitter or YouTube or?
I think all sorts of fuck ups happen when it comes to DNS and this kind of stuff. But I don't
What
know.
is DNS?
DNS is domain names basically.
Okay.
Yeah, domain name system or domain name service or domain name server. But like there are different definitions of DNS. But basically, yeah, domain names and this HTTPS wala thing, those there are issues that keep coming up with even bigger sites. But I don't know if I cannot remember. I cannot recall anything that specifically that has happened in the past. But yeah, it does happen.
Okay.
People forget to renew their certificates, because even that certificate thing that says, okay, I have verified that this public key belongs to this IP address or this domain name, that also has a certain like time limit. Sometimes it
expiry
expires.
date.
Yeah, expiry date. And once it expires, people forget to renew it, and then you get the HTTPS error that it's not secure.
Okay.
So it does happen, yeah.
Okay. So we go back to the
Nostr.
Nostr bit. Yes.
Yeah. So Nostr also uses all this private public key cryptography,
Okay.
but it uses in a way that is self-sovereign, I would say. So as an user, just like in Bitcoin you generate one public key, one private key. Not a private key, actually you generate 12 words that are used to generate the private keys and the public keys and the addresses. In Nostr also you have one private key. So we were supposed to have 12 words for Nostr as well, but then because it was a bit too complicated, people just stuck with one string that is called an NSEC. So
What is it called?
NSEC, NSEC, secret.
Okay.
Nostr secret basically.
Okay.
So NSEC 1, and then you'll have some bunch of numbers and letters.
Okay.
So Nostr secret is the private key that you have.
How long is it?
I don't know to give the wrong info. 256 bits or what? 256 bits, I think.
So that's a long.
Yeah, but it's encoded as it is shown to you with numbers and letters. So it's not that long.
How long is it when it's shown to you?
Oh, I have no idea. It's like 40 characters, 50 characters.
That is still long.
Yeah,
So how do people remember it?
That's one of the biggest criticisms of Nostr that I have. That if it had been 12 words from the beginning and everyone stuck to that, it would have been much better. But now we have this, so you have to store it in a password manager or somewhere. You cannot like easily write it down and store it somewhere. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I have a question around this private key. I feel like it might be digressing from the actual, like, what is Nostr question.
Yeah.
But what happens if you lose your private key? Or if it gets compromised? Let's say I store it on a piece of paper, or I just copy it to a Google Doc, and the doc gets accidentally shared or leaked somehow. What happens?
You're fucked. But for now, because we don't have key rotations here.
You don't have what?
Key rotation. Basically, there is no way for you to move from one identity to the next one
Correct.
once it is compromised. So you have multiple scenarios, right? You can lose access to that key. You wrote it somewhere and it got deleted, or your system got burned down, or you wrote it down, it got lost somewhere. So in that case, it is lost. There needs to be ways of recovering it.
Correct.
And there can be ways. We just have not built them yet. There can be ways. That's relatively easy. So that would be recovery of your key.
I find that surprising that you say it should be relatively easy.
Compared to rotating your key, compared to changing your identity, in case you are suspecting that this has been compromised. So if you lose it, what you can do is you can send chunks of your key before you lose it to, let's say, 3 of your friends or 5 of your friends. And it can be a multi-sig like construction, like how it works with Bitcoin, that at least 3 of those 5 people have to come together so that you can get your key back. And without those 3 coming together, they cannot get your key either. So that there can be things like that.
But that's putting a lot of responsibility on people.
Yeah.
So as an Instagram user, I can just forget about things. I can just be like, I don't know, I don't care. I give them an email ID. I have access to that email ID because it has connected to my phone. I forget the password of the email ID. That's fine. I get an OTP on my phone. I forget the password of my Instagram account. That's fine. I get an OTP on my email ID. Some or the other jugaad is always there. And you always can claim your identity back.
Okay. So let's say you lost access to your Instagram account. You tried to click on the forgot password option, and it sent you one email to the account that the email that you used to log in. You go to check your email, and you realize that you have been logged out, and you're being asked to type in your password again. Then you realize you forgot the password to the email address as well. What will you do? You'll click on forgot password. You'll get an OTP to your SIM, to your phone. Let's say you lost access to the SIM card as well because your house burned down. What do? You go to the SIM company and give them your ID, Aadhaar card and everything to get your ID back.
Yeah.
So it's also putting a lot of responsibilities on different people.
But you're stating what is a very extreme scenario where you lose access to your Gmail and you lose access to your SIM. And then if you lose access to your Gmail and SIM, the point is that you will have to get access to it anyway to live life.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just to get access to my Insta now I have to go and get a new SIM. It will be like, no, I need to get a new SIM anyway. I need to restore my number anyway, right? So it's not specific to Insta.
Yeah.
Right? But if I lose access to my Nostr private key, like the NSEC, you called it, just for the NSEC, I will have to set up a whole system of like a multi-sig setup where I send it to 5 people who I trust enough, who I know enough, but I also feel like they won't share the key among themselves.
They will not collude.
They will not collude. Yeah. And maybe there will be like third parties coming in at some point, like third party companies, organizations who you can entrust with it. Who like, there's one organization in the US, one in China, one in India, one in Mexico, somewhere. Like it's distributed system of like storing that multi-sig key. But even there is a non-zero chance that they collude. Or there is some pressure put on them by governments, by organizations, because you're now, let's say, a designated terrorist because you said something against some person that you shouldn't have said, you know?
Right. So there, what you can do is you can have one key, which is your Instagram email and password, let's say. You encrypt it using another key and you store it somewhere. So if you lose access to the original key, you can take out the backup key, use it to get your data, encrypt the data, and restore the original NSEC. Just like you fall back to Gmail once you lose access to Instagram, you fall back to your phone once you lose access to Gmail. So you can have multiple NSEC kind of thing as well. You can have social recovery. You can have hardware level backup. You can have things like hardware wallet kind of devices. I mean, those are not built yet for backup and recovery, but you can do that. So losing your key is not that big of an issue. So because you can theoretically lose, so it's not a binary thing that on Nostr, if you lose it, you're gone. On Instagram, you can always recover. It's not a binary thing. On Instagram or on Twitter, I'll give an example of Twitter just not to get sued. So on Twitter, if you lose access to your account, you are falling back to something. That also has a fallback. And eventually the fallback is your government KYC documents. So, right, to go to the phone number, the telecom operator. So there are fallbacks that you create so that if you lose access to one, you come back to the next one. And you can do the same with Nostr as well. So it's just probability wise, what's the chance that you will lose all the keys, right?
It's more than about probability. It's about like, if I'm a current Instagram user or I'm a Twitter user, what is my incentive? Even if you give me the exact same experience otherwise, otherwise I log into some Nostr ka app and it is the exact same as Twitter, like literally no difference. Even then, a current Twitter user would be like, yeah, I mean, I now have to store one more password, this like NSEC thing, and if I forget it, like all my data is gone, and to keep it safe, I have to create multiple levels of backups, and then there's this like encryption thing. I don't know how this works, and like this is what I think is keeping a lot of people away from these protocols. If you can get,
but you're missing the plus point, right? Let's say, okay, UX wise, it's not easy to understand SMTP either. It is just that Gmail comes pre-installed on your phone, and everyone uses emails that you're familiar with it. It's not a simple thing at all, right? Driving a car is not simple. At least because in India, we are all using manual cars. Like automatics are like very, very rare. So shifting gears, you have to understand how the clutch works. Like ask any random guy, why do you have to press the clutch before shifting the gear in a car? And they'll be able to answer you. Because they know enough about the engine and they did not learn it before they started using cars. They got into their daddy's car, they sat there, they saw people pressing brakes and stuff, and they asked them what's going on there, and they just saw it evolve in front of them, right? So you put a random guy who has never seen a car, who has not driven or even ridden a car, right? He not even got into any motor vehicle at all, no bikes, no cars, nothing. You ask him to understand this thing, you explain all the concepts to him, and he'll just get freaked out. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, how is it even working? Like, how can you figure out all the rules of how to steer a car, how to change gears, when to change gears? And it's a very intuitive thing. It's not something that you can learn from a textbook, right? You just have to get the feel of it. You just understand from the vibration and from the sound and from the speed and all the things, that feedback that the car is giving you, you learn about it. So it's a very, very, very complex thing that people just intuitively understand today because they have grown up in this world. So same with Nostr, same with even like email and password and all those things. There are people who don't understand the difference between searching in the search bar of a browser versus typing in the URL of a website. I have seen those people. There are people who don't understand the difference between using Instagram in a mobile browser like Chrome, because Chrome they associate with Google, Instagram is Facebook, that's a completely different thing. So they don't understand the difference between using the app of Instagram and using it in browser. So if I tell them that I have an Instagram account, but I don't use it, I don't have the app, but I can, if you want me to check something, I can open my browser and check it, they freak out. I've seen that happen. Right? So these things are complicated as well. Like imagine phone numbers being one identity where you can call and stuff, email addresses being another identity where you can also send emails, also do calls in one way like Google Meet and stuff. Then you have Instagram where you can also send emails, like, but those are not emails, those are like text messages. What's going on there, right? Then you have also WhatsApp. So if Instagram already has messages, why does WhatsApp exist at all? So these kind of questions, people don't ask them because they have become familiar with it. So same with Nostr. Like if the UX is simplified enough, if people have enough experience using it, then it's the same thing, experience-wise, UX-wise. Or it's even better because it has many more benefits, which will come to next.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. I'll continue with the pushback later. My job here is that of a devil's advocate.
Yes.
So I'm going to put myself in the shoes of the most skeptic friend I have.
The most retarded friend you have.
And I'm just going to like keep pushing on that later.
Cool.
So we get back to the original question that I asked you, which is, if I build, you said you can build all these apps on top of Nostr.
Yes.
What does it mean to say I can build something like Twitter or Insta on top of Nostr?
Okay.
How is it done? How does it work?
Okay. So Nostr at its core defines a few things. One is that you do not log into a server owned by someone and create an account with them so that they can provide you with an identity. That does not happen because you have the private key with you. A public key can be generated and is generated from that private key, and that public key becomes your identity.
Stupid question.
Yes.
How does the private key get generated in the first place?
Any app that supports generating private keys, Nostr private keys, any Nostr app will be able to do it.
Okay. So it is sort of generated spontaneously for
Yes.
me. And
Yes.
it is a randomized string.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like entropically generated. It's random numbers, and it's a random zeros and ones which will be shown to you as numbers and letters, and the public key will also be randomized. So because it will be deterministically generated from the private key. But yeah, let's not get too technical. But basically, yes, you're not creating an account with someone. You're not asking some server to provide you with an identity.
Okay.
You are doing it on your own, and you can generate 100 different keys if you want to.
Okay.
Now, how many people will follow those keys, how many people will block them, it's a different thing, right? So it's not like just because you created 100 different keys, now you have like you can spam everywhere, because you'll obviously get blocked if you do that. But anyway, you download an app. Let's take the example of Damus, Damus. That's one of the apps, one of the first Nostr mobile apps actually.
Okay.
It's available on iOS, and I think they're working on a version of the same app. Not the same app, it's a new app called NoteDeck for Android as well, Damus NoteDeck.
Okay.
So if you download Damus, it will generate one key for you. It will ask you to store it somewhere, like safely. And then you will be able to create your profile, or you'll be able to make posts or whatever those things are. Because Nostr first defines how the identity part will work. So Nostr has something called NIPs. NIPs is Nostr implementation possibilities.
Okay.
It is like sub protocols for the Nostr protocol.
Okay. What does that mean?
So Nostr was created with NIP 01, NIP 01. It's the first NIP that defined the code of Nostr. So how the key will be generated, how all the data in Nostr will be structured. So it will have something called kind, which is like the type of data. So for Twitter like posts, it's going to be kind 1. For your profile data, it's going to be kind 0. For videos, it's going to be kind, let's say, I think it's 72 or something. For different kind of data, it has a different kind associated. So initially, it just had kind 0 and 1 for your profile data and your normal Twitter like posts, short notes that are called. So that's the structure of the data, and then it defines how the data will be shared with servers. There is no central server. Damus does not have. Damus is a server running. These servers are called relays in Nostr, but we can keep calling them servers, not an issue. So the Damus server does not have to talk to the Damus app. It can be like just how to use Google, you don't have to use Google Chrome. You can use Google from Microsoft Edge. And you can be using Bing from Google Chrome as well. Like you can use any app to connect to any server, or yeah, it's the same thing. Or with BitTorrent. If you're downloading a torrent file, let's say uTorrent or some torrent client you're using, it doesn't have to have it doesn't have a connection with the company that built the application itself. It can connect to any server. It can connect to anyone, and then get the data from them.
Okay.
Same with Nostr clients. Nostr clients or Nostr apps, once you download them, once you generated your key, once you create your profile, that will become a kind 0 event. In Nostr, those pieces of data are called event.
Okay.
So it generates a Nostr event of kind 0. Kind 0, public key or public key. Content will be some content about yourself, your name, your profile data, your bio data, and then it will have a signature. Signature will be the signature that is produced by using your private key.
Correct.
So that data, that event, that kind 0 event will be sent to different servers. And those servers, you have an option of deciding which servers you use. Let's say you use a server that I run and I keep it here. Let's say I have a physical system that has the URL of some relay.basantagoswami.com or something. And that's the relay, Nostr relay or Nostr server that I'm running. And as a friend, I ask you to start using this server.
Okay.
So once you have set up your profile, once you have generated your profile, I'll not say account because it's not an account technically, and I whitelist you, or it can be public, it can be paid, it can be whitelisted. the server can choose their own policy of whom they allow writing to that server.
Okay.
So let's
So
say
whose data is being stored on the server is decided by the server.
so the server admins.
Yeah. So the server can give or take away permission
Yeah.
to store a particular person's data.
Yes.
And the person also has the right or the option to decide which server they want to store their data with. Okay. So it's a two-way permission thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So once let's say I whitelisted you and it's a private server. I mean private because I allow anyone to read from it. I do not allow people to write to it. Let's say write as in store data in it.
Okay.
But I allow anyone to read from it. So if you are or to get data from it.
But that should be always the case, right? Because if you don't allow people to read from it, then it's no longer part of the network, so to speak.
Yeah. In most scenarios, you may want to create some kind of private group sort of thing using like only allowing some people to read from it.
Like a personal text messaging.
Yeah, those kind of things you can do there.
Interesting. Yes, that's true.
So that also like it should be done using encryption, which is also possible because you have your key, and it is done using encryption in most cases. But this is also possible. Like you can allow. Okay, let's not get there. But anyway, let's say I allow you to store your data here. Now you configure that URL of the server in your app, and once you start writing to it, anyone can read from it to get your posts, and you can have a backup of it. You can have a backup of those posts on your laptop itself or on your phone itself. And because those posts are not dependent on the server, because you can have multiple servers as well. You are choosing to use mine. You are also paying for some professionally hosted Nostr relay or Nostr server and storing your data there. So if I at any point decide to ban you, all I can do is disallow you from publishing your data there or pushing your data to there or writing your data there. But people will still be able to see your data because your data can also be stored somewhere else.
If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I'm very particular about how I buy and store my Bitcoin. This is why I use GetBit. GetBit is India's first Bitcoin-only exchange, and they've made self-custody genuinely easy. You can buy Bitcoin at GetBit and then move it to your own private wallet at zero cost. This means that you're not just holding on to a promise, you're holding actual Bitcoin. In the long run, this matters more than anything else. On top of that, their SIP feature lets you accumulate Bitcoin starting with just ₹100, so you can gradually build your position over time. This is honestly the best way to navigate Bitcoin's volatility. So if you want to buy Bitcoin the right way, you can use my code DVJBTC for 30% off on platform fees for the first 3 months. So go to getbit.in or download their mobile app or just click the link in the description and enter DVJBTC at the referral page for 30% off on platform fees. Questions?
Yes.
So I create a Nostr profile with, let's say, the Damos app, right? At that point, I have to choose what server I want to use. Okay.
Yeah, by default it comes with, I think there are some servers that it comes with pre-configured.
Pre-configured. Is the default multiple servers or one server?
It varies from app to app, but most apps that I have seen, I don't know what Demas does specifically, but most apps will give you 3 or 4 popular servers to use, popular relays to use.
Okay, so 3 or 4 popular relays or servers are given.
Yeah.
Which means that all 3 or 4 of them will be storing my data.
Those are mostly public ones, yeah.
Okay. Which means for my data to stop existing,
yes,
or stop being relayed onto
the network,
other like Nostr users, all 3 or 4 of those servers will have to ban me.
Yes.
Yeah. But if that happens, if those 3 or 4 servers, let's say coordinatedly, let's say all 4 servers happen to be in the same country, and that country's government goes to them and be like this guy is not good. We don't like what he's saying. Remove his content. So what they have to do is they just have to ban my content from their servers from being transmitted, and suddenly all my posts have disappeared.
Yeah, in one way, yes. I mean, there are still ways to recover it because these are posts that are signed. I can be keeping a copy of it as well. My phone probably has some copies of it. So
when you say your phone, like I'm talking about me, the user.
yeah, if I follow you and I have seen your posts.
Okay.
I have liked them. I have retweeted them, not retweeted, reshared them. Then there is a chance that those posts still exist on my phone, because phones and laptops and all these Nostr apps, they also have a local cache of all the events. They keep a cache of it, and then there are servers that are archival servers. So I am building something that will be running on my laptop. Every 24 hours, it will connect to those servers that I post to. It will fetch all the data from there and keep it as a backup.
Only your posts or all posts?
Only mine and my brothers and a few other guys.
Okay, so
and
the people you care about.
yeah, it will keep a copy in my laptop, and it will keep a copy in Google Drive. So that's something that I am doing.
Okay. Now this is something that costs, right?
Yes.
There's a cost associated. You're using up laptop space, you're using up Google Drive space, or you're paying some third party server to store your data. Let's say in a different country, so your government cannot influence it or whatever, but there is a cost associated with it. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. As opposed to Meta, as opposed to Twitter, who do it for free, but it also means that they have greater control over what you are posting. They have the ability to ban you. Sometimes, honestly, with very little justification.
Yeah.
Okay.
So but if you think about it, the only reason it is not paid, it's all free always, is because Bitcoin did not exist. It's because for an Indian to buy some server space, and you'd also have to do it for all these different services, right? If you're using a video like system, which can be YouTube, which can be Rumble, which can be Twitch or whatever for live streaming, then you have to be paying them. If you're using Twitter, then you have to be paying Twitter. If you're using Instagram, you have to be paying Instagram. Whatever app you're using, you have to be paying for their server.
Correct.
If you were paying. So that was, and also like they're in different countries and there are like different payment methods. So there is not an easy way of doing it using fiat currencies. Till Bitcoin came along, till we had Lightning to be used internationally, we did not have a good solution for it. So that's the reason most of these companies are using ads. They just show you ads. They just show you like promoted content via their algorithm and all sorts of shady stuff that they have been doing, because there are not an easy way of getting your money, and they had to do this as an alternative.
So I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I don't think it's the payment rails that stopped them, because you also have a company like Uber that is giving you services in India, and they've managed to find a way to collect payments in the local currency. There's many such services. Like I use Adobe Premiere Pro to edit my videos. Now they're not an Indian company, but I can make payments to them in INR.
Yeah.
So that problem is very much solvable. I think the reason why they don't charge you is they've realized that by not charging you for the data they are storing on your behalf, which can be a lot in many cases, like several 100 gigabytes of data, sometimes per person.
Yeah.
What that does, it takes away a constraint on you, because now you're not doing the mental math of like, array, if I upload this 4-hour video, it's going to cost me these many rupees per month.
Yeah.
That cost is being borne by them.
Yeah.
So that encourages people to just create as much as they can. Like the explosion of content there is, it wouldn't have been as dramatic if people had to pay for the amount of server space they were using up. So I think there's also that playing out, that these companies realize that we don't need to charge users for the money we make, because by just letting them post for free, we are getting a lot of content out there. So now there is something for everyone. Everyone can go get hooked onto something on these platforms. And because now we have their attention, we can monetize that. We can show them advertisements, we can sell different products or whatever. So it's a different business model, I feel.
Yeah, makes sense. I still think the fiat payment rails are a problem. Were a problem at least because no one is paying with fiat in Nostr for server space, right? Everyone pays using Bitcoin mostly, or Monero sometimes. But yeah, so basically you have to pay. Someone has to pay, even if it is not you. the Meta has to be paying for the server costs. Even if they bought the servers, that's an upfront cost that they had to pay. And then for electricity and for cooling and for maintenance, all sorts of things they have to be paying it.
Correct.
So someone is paying it and someone is making their money back somehow. So in case of Facebook, they're even like, I think one of my friends had an experience with trying to target ads in Bangalore. So he had an option of choosing, he had an option of targeting people who are going to be pregnant in the next few months. So Meta knows that much about you to be able to give him the option of choosing that, okay, these are the people who will be pregnant in the next few months. So by the time your product comes out or whatever, these people will be ready to buy them because they will be like
That is
6 months
nuts.
pregnant. Yeah. So those kind of things they can do, and they can make money from ads and the advertisers. And it just shifts the incentive completely. So in case of Nostr, what's happening is, I'll use the old traditional legacy media analogy. You're downloading Twitter. Now you're not using Twitter's server at all. You're using Instagram and Facebook server. And some people are downloading Instagram and they're using Twitter and their own home-built server. Some people are not even using any of these apps. They build their own app and they're connecting to their own server. And these people are all communicating. So the app developer is not the one who is controlling your data at all. It's not even the servers, because one server does not have exclusive control over your data.
If you choose to distribute it to multiple servers.
Yes, which you should do. You should always have 3 or 4 relays or servers that you use to post your data to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the example that you're giving me, like it's an analogy for Nostr, that all the data, all the posts, all the different kinds of content that you've put out using any of the Nostr apps, all that data is using the same protocol, so they can all like sort of communicate in a similar ways.
Yeah.
And the apps are just sort of user interfaces built on top of that data.
Yes.
And if you have an app, let's say Damus is an app, can you name me another Nostr app?
Yakihone.
Yakihone.
Yeah, Honne.
Yakihone, okay. So you have Damus and you use Damus and I use Yakihone, and you've posted something using your Damus app still on the Nostr protocol. And if I'm using Yakihone, I can still end up seeing it.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Yes.
Because right now what you have with all social media is your data stays within their app, within that client.
Yeah. So people talk about Nostr not having a global feed or an algorithm, right? So because Nostr is not a centralized server, there is no way for a server to know everything that is happening on the network. Because there are multiple servers and some posts can be in this server, some posts can be in these 2 servers, some posts can be in none of these servers that we are talking about. So let's say there is a Japanese Nostr community. There is a Japanese Nostr community and a Thai Nostr community. And I don't even see their content, Thailand's content or Japanese content, because I'm not really interacting with any of those servers at all. So people are like, okay, but then how does it work? Because I cannot see all the content that exists out there. But if you think about it, Twitter cannot show posts from Facebook either. Facebook cannot show posts from Reddit, for example. So if you make a post on Twitter and someone takes a screenshot of it and makes fun of you on Reddit by calling you a retard, you cannot like respond to them. You cannot block them. You cannot do anything.
You have to go to Reddit.
Yeah, you'll have to sign up. If you don't have an account, then you'll have to go to that subreddit, find it, and then you'll have to prove that it is indeed you, that these 2 accounts belong to the same person. You'll have to prove that, then you'll be able to defend yourself, right? So this problem exists here as well. It's just that one app and the server is very tightly coupled. In case of Nostr, it is completely decoupled. What app you're using and what server you're using is independent.
I see that as a problem though, and I'll try to explain why. Right now, let's say I'm only a Twitter user, I don't use anything else. It's still a single platform where I can interact with everyone else who's using Twitter. That's not everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
There are some who are not using Twitter, who are using Insta or something else, but I still can interact with everyone else who's using Twitter. But if you're saying that because in the case of Nostr, the servers need to interact with each other, And let's say I'm storing my data on my own personal server, and my personal server is interacting with only 3 other servers.
No, the servers don't have to. They don't interact with each other at all.
So how is the data on my server going to be relayed onto the whole Nostr network so that someone else can see my post?
Okay, let's say you have server A where you post to, and I have server B where I post to.
Okay.
Right? So I write to server B. You can still read from server B. If let's say you follow me, then you know which server I post to. I'll not get into the technical details of how it works. It has something called indexer relays, which there's a relay called purple pages, which maintains a list of everyone and their which basically the list of servers that they write to, or the list of relays that they read from, all those things. So let's say I'm replying to you. Then what I will do is I will create the reply post. I'll send it to my server, and I'll send it to your server as well, so that you can easily read it.
But will you do it consciously, or is it happening on the back end?
It's happening on the app's backend. It's not happening on the server side. It's happening on the phone itself, or the application that you are using.
Okay, so Damus, for instance.
Yeah, Damus or Yakione is doing it internally.
Okay.
So it is. If I'm replying to you, it is sending it to your server. That's called the outbox model of Nostr. Or what you can do is, let's say I don't know you. I don't know about your existence. I don't know which servers you write to and read from. Someone shares your post. Once someone that I follow, someone that I know which server they write to, and I'm reading their posts, and they share or retweet or reshare a post of yours, then I immediately know your public key. I immediately know which servers you write to, because there is something called relay hints that are attached. So it's a bit technical. I'll not go into much detail, but using those, then my app becomes aware of your existence and the servers that I should query to get your posts, and then I can read all your posts as well.
So the only way discovery of people who are not already using the same server or same sets of servers happens is if someone in your existing network brings you in touch with them somehow.
Yes.
That is also a limitation.
Or the server that you are using can act like a person and recommend you. So it's not like Nostr does not have algorithms. You can have a trending posts algorithm, and the server, there can be a relay or a server. I'll just use the word relay to make it less confusing from now on. Let's just call them relays. So Nostr relay, there can be a Nostr relay that gives you trending posts or posts that I might find interesting. It gives it to me. So in that case, I'm not asking, hey server, give me a list or give me the posts from the list of public keys that I follow. This is a list of public keys that I follow. Give me all their posts. I'm not doing that. I'm not asking the server that thing. I'm asking the server to give me whatever is going to be interesting to me. And these are the tags that I find interesting: Bitcoin, Nostr, whatever. Or maybe I'm just giving, okay, whatever is trending right now, give it to me. I don't have any preference, just give it to me. In that case, the server can be a specialized server that is connected to multiple servers or relays. Let's just stick to relays. So that relay can be a specialized relay. It is connected to multiple relays, and it is reading their posts, and to see which one is getting more interactions. It can have an algorithm like Twitter or Facebook or anything, and then it can give you the data, and you can have like discovery of new people there.
Okay. But what if I use only one relay? I only use my private relay, right? Can it still do that? Can it still give me a discovery section?
That relay itself?
My private relay.
Yeah, so you are not allowing anyone else to write to it. Right. But then you can have some kind of software in the relay itself if you control it physically, or if you have like, maybe even it's in the cloud, but you have control to the relay software. You can have some kind of discovery software running there that goes around looking at different relays to find the content from people that, or there is a concept of the web of trust or your network. So you have a list of people that you follow, and they also follow other people, and those guys also follow other people. So there can be a list of 20,000 people counted in that way in the network, and your server can be subscribed to the relays of those 20,000 people, all the relays of those 20,000 people, get the post from there, filter it locally, and give it to you like in a list.
Okay.
So it can happen.
And the algorithm that does the filtering, that does the selection, that is dependent on the app that you use.
The app or the server. Because the app can have a local algorithm as well.
Correct.
Or the server there can be specialized relays as well, which give you recommended posts. So both can work.
Can you explain this a little bit? Because what happens with, let's say, Twitter is that the app has.
App is not doing anything in case of
Okay,
Twitter.
actually, not the app in my phone itself, but Twitter has a recommendation algorithm that it uses to direct the server into what post it should send to my feed, right?
Yeah.
But when I say that, it's still one organization that is doing everything. It is Twitter that is doing everything. Twitter is managing the servers. Twitter is the one making the recommendations to me as well. But in this case, what you're saying that the job of recommendation can now be split, and there'll be like at least two layers of it. One layer will be on the layer of the relay. So if you're, let's say, connected to a particular kind of relay, that relay does the job of like scraping through common networks and whatever other information it is getting from other users connected to them, and then putting those together as recommendations. The second job could be that of the app, which is Damus in this case, that the app has access to my network and their network and all of that, and then it brings together information. Like, how does it compete on the platform? Because there's one, let's say, recommended posts page. How is it decided between Damus and between that relay ki whose recommendations will come up actually?
Okay. So again, I don't know any particular app that implements client-side recommendations. It has client-side filtering to prevent spam and stuff. I don't know any apps that does it on the phone itself to recommend you new people, or recommend you new posts, like the algorithmic feeds that you get in traditional social media. It's mostly relays and mostly specialized servers. These are not even relays. Your app just asks them. So it can have different ways of showing it. It can have for you page. Once you click on it, it can give you like different servers to choose, or it can give you different options like local filtering, or using DVM, or using specialized service, or post from your network. It can have different options. So usually apps will hide it from you by default if you use Primal. Primal is an app as well, like Demas and
Primalnet.
Primal.net, yes.
Yeah, it's very famous. I wanted to ask you about it, but we'll get there next.
So Primal.net is also an app, and it has a recommendation feed there.
Okay.
So how it is working is it's somewhere in between the old model and the new model, that although you are generating your keys on the app itself or on your phone itself using the Primal app, they also have a server. Primal also runs a server that's doing a lot of indexing, and it is finding posts that are relevant to you, and it has a trending feed. It has multiple algorithms actually. By default, once you open it, it will give you posts that are not from your follows. If you do not have an account a profile created, or Nostr private key created, you can decide the top posts from the last 7 days, or you can decide you can choose to see the top posts from the last 24 hours.
Okay.
And once you choose that, the app makes an internal query to the server saying, okay, I need the last this feed, the 7 days feed, or the 24 hours feed. And the server gives them the application the data, and it shows you the data. So you can make it look exactly the same. You can give the experience of a traditional social media network with the algorithmic feed if you want in a Nostr client. Or you can have a Nostr client that does not do any recommendation at all for people who already have people that they follow and people that follow them. So for them, you'll just see posts from your network.
Okay. So
You have like the options. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to break it down into the UI of it and the recommendation algorithm of it.
Yeah.
So when I have Twitter, the UI UX of Twitter is decided by the company. The recommendation algorithm is decided by the company. In the case of Nostr clients, or when I use some Nostr app, the UI UX is decided by the app.
Yes.
That's my guess.
Yes.
So Damus in this case.
Yes.
Okay. The recommendation thing is up to me. I have a bunch of options. I have a bunch of different servers that I can choose from, and each of them has a different personality, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I can have my Nostr app Damus connected to a particular server that gives me nothing from anyone that I'm not already connected to.
Yes.
Or I can have my Nostr app connected to a server that gives me information which is filtered in a way that it is only educational and there is no time pass.
Yes.
or I can have it for like a server where it's just like entertainment and like mind rot.
Yes.
So now as a user, the benefit I get on Nostr, if I'm using a Nostr app instead of Twitter or Insta, is like I now finally have the option to not just be given into my instincts,
Yes.
like the short videos recommended and like the attention grabbing nature of them, but actually have the option of like, no, I don't even want short videos.
Yes.
I only want long form content or I want written posts.
Yes.
And I can choose a particular server that is going to relay only that kind of content to me.
Yes. Exactly.
That is amazing.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks that it clicked for you. Finally.
No, but
Well,
like
I've tried explaining this concept to many people. I don't think a lot of people get it, but yeah.
I mean, I have been so annoyed with YouTube.
Yeah.
I love YouTube.
Yeah.
It is the one app where I spent most of my time.
Yeah.
I learned about
I can
Bitcoin
tell.
on YouTube, like, right? So, but I get so annoyed with them because they just keep pushing shots at me. And the problem is, I am addicted.
Yes. So,
I don't want to be addicted.
Yeah.
And I want the option where I can just tell YouTube, yeah, just remove this shorts wala section and just stop showing shorts to me altogether.
yeah.
Just show me like no video under 20 minutes.
Yes.
Can you give me this option, please?
Yeah. That's something that I would want as well, right? And also, one thing is people think that because Google knows so much about you, that they will be able to give you proper ads and everything, right? That's not the case. So I recently got YouTube Premium, but before that, I think last year last year November or September, I went to Goa, and immediately it starts showing me ads in Konkani, as if I understand it. Dude, you know where I have been living for the last 8 years in Bangalore. Give me Kannada ads, I can understand. And I created the account in 2013, so it knows that I have lived since at least 2013 in Assam. Give me Assamese ads. No, it does not. Gives me Hindi, sometimes Tamil and Telugu, and then English. And what the hell? And then I go take a bus, and even like in the first time I went to Goa, right? It was, imagine the like smartness of the server, that this guy, it knows everything. Like even now it's tracking my location, so it knows every, like my office space, my home's address, everything, and still gives me a Konkani ad. So that's the kind of dumbness that comes with a centralized server, because you cannot choose it, you cannot change it. And also I have to like and dislike a lot of things. Do not recommend. I still keep seeing a guy with a Israeli flag, a Tamil guy with an Israeli flag in the background, talking about some Jesus healing service, and he'll be speaking in random tongues, and then he'll be like, oh, now you are healed. And that guy just keeps coming up with my shorts, and some random Bihari woman sleeping. I'm like, and then speaking to her husband in Bhojpuri. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, why is it showing me this thing at 3 a.m. in the night? Like, that's not productive, and that's not even something that I want to see. But it will still show you. So it can make mistakes, and there is no way for you to change it. Unless they figure out that there is something going wrong and they change it, you are hopeless. You cannot change anything. You can just be like, okay, I'm gonna dislike it. I'm gonna click on do not recommend. And even after clicking do not recommend, it will still recommend you that same channel. It happens, like it has happened to me multiple times.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the experience you get. So it can, on Nostr, it can be like 100 times better.
This is a massive unlock, I would feel.
Yeah.
If you can give this to people. But the pushback I have against this, because I'm playing devil's advocate here. Let's say this becomes large enough. Right now, Nostr is such a niche. Bitcoin is a niche. Nostr is a small niche within the Bitcoin community. Like very few people who are not Bitcoiners use Nostr, right?
Yeah.
And very few Bitcoiners use Nostr. So it's already like, it's a very small community. Let's say Nostr even becomes like 1% of the population. Like 1% of the population is now on Nostr. And the reason they are on Nostr is because they realize that A, now you have enough content there. So whatever you wanted to view elsewhere is also being posted here. But B, more importantly, you get to choose the kind of algorithm that is going to recommend the content to you. So you have better control over your attention. Meta or Twitter or YouTube can just implement that in their own algorithm, and they can do it better. They can just come up with personalities. Like right now, they ask you, okay, what kind of content do you like? Do you like entertainment? Do you like sports? Do you like music? Do you like
Yeah.
this, that? Instead of that, they can just be like, okay, what kind of content would you like to watch? Do you want entertaining? Do you want informative? Do you want to just like take a break at the end of the day? And do you want like humorous? What if they do that? What is the value prop of Nostr if that is taken away?
Okay. So the algorithm side of Nostr, the custom algorithms or the ability to choose the algorithm, right? That's just one small part of Nostr. Nostr already has the censorship resistance, which is resistance part, which is the I think the biggest value prop of Nostr, right? That you write to multiple servers, even if one is taken down, you still have access to those, and as long as you have stored your data somewhere safely, you can do it in like the automated way that I'm doing. It will automatically scrape all my data from the relays and store it in my laptop and save a copy of it on Google Drive. Those things already make Nostr better than Facebook or Twitter, right? Also, Facebook is never going to let their platform open up by allowing a Twitter user to comment on Facebook, a Facebook post. So Twitter and Facebook are never going to interoperate. Neither is Instagram. Instagram and Facebook can interoperate, probably will in the future, but it's not going to be Twitter and Facebook, Twitter and Meta basically. So this interoperability part is missing, first of all. Second thing, censorship resistance is missing. Third thing is because you have these clients and you have these NIPs or sub protocols. So NIP one defined how the data will be structured and your profile and Twitter like feed. Then some NIP defines. So there's an app called Formster. It's created by Abhay, one of my friends, and we do a podcast together as well, me and Abhay. But it's not as high quality. Like the conversations are not as high quality as this one. But yeah, and so he created this Forms application to replace Google Forms, and along with censorship resistance and all those things, you have a unmatched amount of privacy that you get from Nostr as well. So once you create the form that you want to give to multiple people, let's say, they submit their responses. These servers cannot see them because the responses are encrypted to your public key of the creator of the form.
Okay.
Same way you have DMs. On Twitter or on Instagram, let's say once you DM someone, that personal message, that private message can be and is being read by Instagram. They are obviously scanning it. So if you try to send some random stuff, something that's illegal or something that's controversial, your account can get banned, even in private communication. So on Nostr, you have the privacy aspect along with all this other stuff. So it's not just the algorithm that's the content that you see based on your own preference that makes Nostr unique. It also has all the other benefits as well. So even if they introduce custom algorithms that are fine-tuned for you, you do not get the other benefits that you get from Nostr.
Okay. Let's talk about the censorship resistance here, because censorship resistance feels a bit like a double-edged sword to me sometimes. My instinct is always that of a libertarian, that there should be no body that has the power to censor things. And that's more of a practical consideration. I'll explain my stance on this a little bit. I think there might be cases where, as a society, we would want certain kinds of content, and I'll be using the word content very broadly here, but certain kinds of content to be put out there. And there might be times where we would want certain kinds of content to be taken down. For instance, child pornography. Okay? So we would want censorship. The problem is, the moment you have the power to censor, you will overreach eventually.
Yes.
You will stop doing just like, okay, I will stop child pornography. Then you will also be like, oh, this is hate speech. And I will stop that as well. And now this is like talking about this political party in a bad light, and I like this party, so I'll stop this as well. So there's a lot of overreach that happens. And sometimes you don't want to be the person overreaching, but the government of the country in which you're operating in is knocking on your door and saying like, we will tear you down if you don't take this post down. And then you feel powerless, and your incentive is always to be like, yes, Sarkar, whatever you say, you know?
Yeah.
So I get the point of censorship, My problem is, what about these edge cases? What about cases where we want to agree that, okay, this should not be there, but then how do we have that and then not have the overreach?
Yep. So I think, okay, so let me get a bit more philosophical here, right? I have not gone deep into libertarian literature or Austrian economics and those those sorts of things that Bitcoiners get into a lot.
Me neither.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm yeah libertarianism because I see all my friends, the friends that I trust, and them promoting all these ideas, right? So on when it comes to relays, the relays have all the authority to ban you, and that's a very like important thing for Nostr, because if the relay does not want your content, there should not be a case where they have to still allow your content. If you look at it from a property rights point of view, it's their property. The relay admin has all the rights of allowing what kind of content goes there or who writes into that. So it's like defining what kind of discussions or what kind of activities goes on this in this space. By the way, we are, just to tell the audience, we are recording it in BitSpace Bangalore, which is a Bitcoin space where alcohol is not allowed, right? We cannot be drinking here, but we can be talking about Bitcoin. If you go to that office or some random space and you start talking about Bitcoin, you might get kicked out because Bitcoin is not allowed. So this is the property rights enforced by Bitshala, the organization running the space, and they do not allow any kind of alcohol, cocaine, anything here, right? But they allow all sorts of Bitcoin discussions, and we have decided that that's okay with us, and that's why we come here. So relays have all the rights of kicking out someone. How is it not overreaching censorship? Before that, let's go to another thing, which is, let's say there is child pornography on Nostr, which has been the case. Someone had posted child pornography on Nostr. What happens is most people don't follow those guys, and most people will mute those guys. And mutes can be public. Like if I mute you, I can make it a public thing. I can mute you publicly so that anyone can see that I have muted you. Or I can make it private. So my client will not show your posts, but it's only known to me. So again, we have not developed the UI UX enough to make it more intuitive to most people, but it is possible and it is being worked on, where if I mute someone, his posts, let's say I mute you, then people who follow me will see that I have muted you. So your posts by default will be shown as this user is probably a spam account or something like that. That can be done. So things like that. So most people will never see those child porn stuff. Most relays will kick the child porn out of their relays. And what ends up happening practically is that if you say anything wrong about Trump, most relays will not kick you out. If you say anything wrong about any religion, most relays will not kick you out. If you say the N word with a hard R, which I have seen a lot of time being done, most relays will not kick you out. Some relays will. More relays will do that compared to the relays that will kick you out for talking about Trump. Maybe there is 1 in 100, 1 in a million relay which will kick you out if you talk anything negative about Donald Trump. Maybe there are 1 in 1,000 relay which will kick you out for saying the N word with a hard R or whatever. Then there is going to be 99.999% of the relays which will kick you out for posting something that even resembles child pornography. But there might still be one relay which is like, this is not actually child porn. Maybe it's hand-drawn notes or whatever, right? But then it's close to, hopefully it is like 100% of the relays right now, which will not allow, it's not just relays, by the way, relays and Blossom servers, but let's just keep the discussion not that technical, keep it philosophical. So most relays will kick you out if you post something that's child pornography. That's obviously child pornography. So what ends up happening is, because we do not have authorities, it is not like Twitter from where we had to get permission before we could post anything. We did not have to take permission for identifying ourselves that this is going to be my username. Twitter assigned the username. Now they have all the will to take away my username. They can write posts on my behalf if Twitter wants to. They can do that. They can edit my previous posts. They can backdate a post. They can say I wrote it in 2013, which I did not. They can give my username to someone else. They can do anything they want. It's like I do not even exist. I call up someone and say, okay, do one thing, put on a hat and pretend to be me in your house. And I'll just trust that you're doing it in front of an audience. There are 100 people sitting there at that guy's house, and I'm just calling them and saying, okay, now do this, now do that, now say this thing. And I have no idea what he's doing. He's probably doing it right because he's a trusted party, and if he fucks up, then probably I'll never call him again. But still, he has all the ability to act on my behalf. So that becomes, because of that thing, they can abuse their censorship thing. When it comes to relays, because most people are good people, you have to understand that most people, the reason civilization exists, despite having all these serial killers and rapists and all the terrorists and everything, we have come till 2026, right? We have built a civilization, we have built all these technologies, and we are not killing each other right now. I can probably take up a knife from there and just stab you in the heart, right? I'm not doing it, and I'm trusting you. Huh?
Thank you.
Yeah, yet.
I appreciate it.
and I can walk up from here to my home without getting stabbed. Like most people are not getting stabbed. Most people are not getting killed.
Amazing.
Right?
Gotta love people, man.
Yeah, love people. Seriously. So most people are not trying to do anything wrong. So what ends up happening is this kind of activities do not get promoted. They just get deleted or they get reported to the authorities. So if I even try to do something that's not acceptable by anyone, no one's going to accept me, right?
Let's say I post child pornography and I get kicked out of all relays, but I also have a private relay running. So that bit of content is still living
in your relay, okay.
In my relay. And then all the people who are following me, let's say there's a community of people who like child pornography, right? It's not unrealistic.
Yeah,
there are people who like
yes.
that. So now there will be a sub sort of
network
culture, sub network of people, a small network of people.
Yes.
But there will still be a network of people who are now relaying child pornography to each other on Nostr.
Yeah.
No one can stop that.
Yes. So now the problem is not that the thing called child pornography exists on the network, or not even on the main network, on the sub network, speaking the Nostr language. The problem is that those guys somehow created child pornography or somehow got their hands in child pornography. So now you have to come down a little bit and you have to be like, okay, how is it possible that this crime is being done? How is it possible that someone is exploiting someone? Now you get in the territory of libertarianism and political science of how do we... So if, let's say someone kills someone also, let's put aside child pornography for a while. Someone kills someone. How do you stop that? That's obviously unethical. That's obviously damaging to the society. Do you allow cameras into everyone's homes so that the police stations can be watching them and in case something goes wrong, they come and arrest you? Or do you try to instill all the ethics in people's minds from their childhood so that they don't grow up to be terrible human beings? You get into all sorts of philosophical questions about ethics, morality of crime and punishment and authority in the real world. Now you have moved out of Nostr. The thing about these sub-communities is that they already exist. There are people already sending child pornography back and forth. They can be using Signal, they can be using WhatsApp, they can even be using email, for example. They can use GPG, which has existed for a long time. They can encrypt a file, send it over email to someone, and that guy just decrypts it. Right? So now no one knows what's going on. So you can be sending all sorts of illegal stuff over Nostr as well. So the thing is, it's not Nostr which is responsible now. Nostr is responsible for making things censorship resistant that are publicly available to people. And if something is not liked by the public, by anyone, then it gets kicked out of the network. And it gets kicked out of the network, it gets kicked out of the public view. No one sees those kind of things anymore. No one sees those content anymore. At least no one who wants to see those things will see them anymore. We have all the mechanisms of making that work. But now the problem becomes a physical thing about, in the real world, how people exercise their free wills. If they do something wrong, how do you stop them? now the question comes here, like how do you create a society where is libertarianism right, is anarchism right, is authoritarianism right, is communism right? So all those questions become political questions or sociological questions or philosophical questions or and ethical and morality related questions, right? So the question does not remain in Nostr anymore if you are talking about those sorts of stuff, because it's already possible on Nostr, it's already possible on everything. You can be encrypting data and sending over anything.
I have two things to say about this.
yeah.
It's more questions actually.
Yeah.
Right now, if I use WhatsApp to encrypt some child pornography and send it to someone, the government can still come after me because for WhatsApp, I need a mobile number. A mobile number that is probably registered with the telecom authority. So they have my identity. It can be tracked and traced back to me, and then the government can come knocking on my door. When you create a Nostr profile, it can still be fairly hidden.
Yes.
Just like a Bitcoin wallet address, you can still end up doxing yourself in many ways. You can still end up creating that wallet on a public server that you're using, and then some IP or something gets leaked, and then you can still be tracked or whatever. I know people overestimate
How
private
everything is.
everything is, that I get. But it's still relatively easier to pull off on Nostr because it doesn't require KYC.
Yeah.
Firstly. So maybe you can address that and I'll get to the next question.
Okay. So let's say you're sending something over WhatsApp. WhatsApp is, although it's not open source, so you cannot trust that it is actually encrypting, but it claims that it is encrypting everything, right? So let's just assume that for legal reasons they have not lied and it is indeed encrypting everything. In that case, there is no way for WhatsApp to know that you have sent something. So if WhatsApp doesn't know it, then they don't have a way of reporting it to the authorities as well.
No, it's not that WhatsApp is reporting. It's the network of child pornography people. Somehow one of them gets exposed. Like one of them either changes their mind or someone enters that network accidentally. They see one or two posts recommended to them at some point and they realize, oh, these people are doing child pornography. I have to report this. And then they report it to WhatsApp, and then WhatsApp checks, why was this reported? And then WhatsApp realizes, oh, there was child pornography happening and this is the group in which it happens. And then all members of that group get a visit by the police, let's say. Can that happen on Nostr?
Okay, and obviously the IP address tracking thing, those things are there, right? If you are using Nostr without a VPN, or if you are using relays, essentially without a VPN, if you're using it, then your IP address is exposed. So those things happen. But even if you have used, I'll come to the question, but I'll just, one thing I remembered right now, that if you go to Tor, the Tor network using a Tor browser, and you browse random stuff, you'll come across drugs, you'll come across like random, mostly just weed and MDMA. People are selling weed and MDMA. That's all going on there, right? You'll not even come across accidentally child. I was worried about it, that like maybe I'll come across child porn and then my IP address will get tracked and then I'll be in like trouble. But it doesn't happen. Most of the time, what do you even do? Like, do you type in child porn on some site and you find it, or what? You most probably you're not going to do it, right? If you do it, you find someone random. It's most probably going to be an FBI agent sitting on the other side. So most of the times, in any network, for you to get connected with someone, there has to be some steps. You have to build up some kind of rapport, some kind of reputation, some kind of profile of yours. You have to be active there. You have to know people. So how Nostr works most of the time now is people come to this space. We have events going on here, Bitcoin events, Nostr events, and other non-Bitcoin Freedom Tech events. So people come here, we get them Nostr accounts, Nostr profiles, and then we scan each other's npubs. Although it's anonymous, we scan it and then, or we just copy paste it, and then we follow them. So you need to be in a network some way. At the very basic, you have to be somehow connected to people via a physical world, right? So if someone is doing child pornography, again, I have not really thought deeply into this particular scenario, but still, if someone is sending you child porn, that person is not going to be a random person that you came across. If he's a random person, then there is no way you will ever get connected to them. If you're in a group, let's say a group chat, encrypted group chat where you found those people and it's all about child pornography. That group was created by someone, and that person somehow had all these people in mind. Somehow they knew these guys, that they were able to get together. Because if you just go on Nostr and be like, hey, I'm creating a group for child pornography, anyone wants to join, right? You are immediately kicked out of everyone. Like people will block you, mute you, relays will delete you, like whatever. So you personally knew them from somewhere before. So always this human connection is there. And even like on Tor, people do child porn and people get caught. On Tor, where IP addresses are not revealed, on your personal data is not revealed, and people set up specialized servers in one location, and then they use that server from other location, and this server is connected to Tor, and then they're getting all the data, and still like not just like this sorts of like highly unethical and as well as illegal stuff. Even other things like drugs, like selling weed, which I don't consider unethical, but is highly illegal in many places. So even those guys get caught all the time on Tor. So, and that's not because the government has some kind of backdoor into their systems. It is because you have these human connections, and if someone is caught, then you can like trace them. Even if you catch one guy, and the government actually wants to like infiltrate their network, they can torture him and figure out all the information about all the other guys. So it becomes a human problem, which is, I don't think it's a problem of Nostr. I think it's a problem of societies, and then we can get into like ethics and morality and policing and catching people, etc. So yeah, if it was such a problem, it would have already been there for all sorts of other encrypted.
So if I can summarize what you're saying about this thing about censorship is, firstly, that all the relays have some sort of censorship built into them.
Yeah.
So they all choose what kind of content they want to relay.
Yeah.
And secondly, so that is already filtering to a great extent what can come on your feed. Because what I'm guessing is this will turn into something of an oligopoly, or I don't know how it is called or pronounced properly, but there will be a few popular relays, like there are a few popular social media platforms. There will be a few relays that will account for most of the usage. There'll be a few algorithms that will become really successful in recommending content to people that most people will end up subscribing to.
Probably.
Because that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Winners take all, no matter what the case is.
20% of the relays will probably have 80% of the users.
Yeah, some Pareto thing playing out. And then the censorship built into those relays will determine the censorship that you will experience. So on some level, it solves for the extreme case of like really bad content that should not be out there. On other levels, it recreates the problem of a Facebook or a Twitter, that there is a centralized authority now. Like even though this is supposed to be a decentralized platform, but because people end up subscribing to a few algorithms in the end, it becomes centralized by human nature, if not by design.
Yeah. If it becomes centralized by human nature, then I think that's the best we can do. I think the entire philosophy of how I look at Nostr is, we give all the options. If someone wants to be a sovereign individual, if someone wants to control every aspect of their own internet life, how much they reveal, what kind of content they see, they should have the optionality. If as a civilization, as a species, as a collective collective consciousness, we have decided that let's just get fucked, let's just mess ourselves up, let's just watch all the road rage videos and whatnot that Twitter is already giving to us, then that's the fate of the species, essentially. You cannot escape that. You can only escape that probably via psychedelics. But yeah, you can only escape that by raising the average person's agency in the world. You can teach them basic stuff. You can teach them about how to take control of their lives, or how to introspect, how to look at the world with a certain kind of philosophical lens. So those problems, again, the thing about Twitter is that the kind of content that I see on the algorithm is not the kind of content that I want to see most of the time. So what happens is, I'll see someone, some model doing a TikTok dance on Twitter, and being a turkey, being kind of perverted, I will open it. I'll not like it. So I'll not like it or bookmark it or anything, but I'll still play it. I'm scrolling, I see a pretty girl, I'll just play it. I'll watch around if someone is watching in my while working, while the app is building on the Bull Bitcoin app that I'm working on. If it is building on the side, I'm scrolling Twitter, I'll play it, right? So that's human nature. But once I play it, what happens is next time I open it, that's all I see. I'm like, what the hell? This is not what I want. Because that's not what I want most of the time. Once I'm back to my senses, I don't want to see any of those things. So I think eventually we'll just have to trust that most people are good and most people do want to live a life that's fulfilling, and most people don't want to see like brain rot all the time. Maybe they do it sometimes. Maybe they have a relay that or certain accounts that they have a private list of that they go to and then scroll like mindless stuff, memes or whatever. And eventually once they are back to their senses, they come back and then they delete the list. It's like smoking, like smoking cigarettes, or let's even say doing hard drugs. Not even these kind of drugs like heroin. Heroin is easily accessible in this place. If I go out, if I start seeking it, I'll probably get it in a week. I'll probably find someone who is selling heroin and I can get it from. I'm not doing it. You're not doing it. Even if you're drinking alcohol, I stopped drinking alcohol some times ago completely. So even if you're drinking alcohol, you're not drinking it every day. You probably drink it occasionally. You probably drink it when you're with your friends. So you have these. Forget about heroin. Alcohol is easily accessible everywhere. Why is not everyone addicted to alcohol like alcoholics all the time? Because people have this inner desire to live a fulfilling life, to live a productive, well-lived life. So most people will humanly just end up not choosing those relays, not probably will, if a relay starts suggesting all sorts of negative content, I think people will just opt out of it because you have the option of opting out. With Facebook, Insta, Twitter, you do not have the option of opting out. Because if you, let's say you do not like the algorithm of Twitter, you want to go somewhere. Now you do not see the same content. You have to create a new account. Your entire history of posts are gone. It's a completely new account. You don't have any followers. You cannot message people. You do not have the same groups that you used to frequent. You do not have the same spaces, the same weekly spaces that you are used to. You do not have those just because you don't like the algorithm anymore, right? So here you don't like the algorithm, but you still have the groups. So maybe this app has a hard code that it just comes with an algorithm, pre-built algorithm. You don't like it, so you change the app. You go somewhere else, and most people will do that. Most people will settle for what's the best that we can do as a species, and we are not doing what's the best we can do as a species right now, or as a collective.
That's very hopeful.
Yeah.
I have.
Devil's advocate back at it again.
No, I don't even think I'm being a devil's advocate right now. Just looking at what people do, what people consume, what even myself often I end up consuming or what I end up doing. It's sometimes the hope that you've expressed, but it's sometimes also the despair that you're trying to deny.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you have a bit of everything in everyone, and to varying degrees and at different times, different aspects of us are coming out. It still makes sense to me that we should at least give people a choice.
Yeah.
And that choice can go either way. You're maybe giving people a choice to be complete degenerates,
Yeah.
or you're maybe giving people a choice to opt out of the degeneracy and to be better, and to live a more fulfilling, a more purposeful life. But you're giving people the option, and I like that. I'm not going to argue against that.
Yeah. So Nostr, just to bring this up, this is something that one of my friends got from Thailand. I don't know who built it, but it's a cool little ostrich with some strings. So the ostrich, it's also known as a nostrich, is the mascot of Nostr.
Uh-huh.
And it's just an unofficial mascot of Nostr. And so the cool thing about this is, while we are trying to figure out what Nostr stands for, I don't think it's now it means notes and other stuff relayed over transmitted over relays.
Okay.
So notes refer to your posts, but I don't think it was always the case. There are like different names that people are trying to figure out what should it be called. Like 10 different names were proposed, and 10 different meanings also came out of for the term Nostr. And one of those was no strings. Nostr stands for no strings, and it's some like
Here you have
Yeah.
strings attached.
Yeah.
I like
you're no longer a puppet when you are using Nostr.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I also like that framing.
Yeah. Have you heard this Pinocchio thing? I forgot the melody. Have you watched Age of Ultron?
Yes,
Avengers?
I have.
Once he comes out of there, he sings his song, right? What's the song? Like, I no longer have strings attached. Basically, it's a Pinocchio song. So yeah, I like that should be the official tagline of Nostr.
Should be, but it is not yet.
It's not yet. Yeah.
We should start a petition to make it the
Yeah.
official tagline.
I'll send one signed petition to Fiat Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be the official.
Age of Ultron actually has some like solid existential psychological moments in it.
Yeah.
It's not a great film,
Yeah.
but it has its moments.
Yeah. I like
Towards the end,
with Vision.
Vision and Ultron standing in the middle of the woods,
Yeah. Yeah.
like two kind of like artificial intelligences,
Yeah.
just talking to each other about like
Life and
life
humanity.
and beauty and meaning and
Yeah, and death.
and death.
I like that scene.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I have a few more questions left.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand that you said that this Jeff person,
Yeah. Fiat Jeff.
Fiat Jeff, not Punter Jeff. Punter Jeff is another Jeff Walton. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fiat Jeff, he built Nostr.
Yeah.
Now Nostr, you said, keeps improving as well. So there are these NIPs that you mentioned. So there's something like an organization that is developing Nostr.
Yeah. To an extent, but yeah. Go ahead.
To an extent, okay. So this is a dumb question again. Can they fuck Nostr up? Can they just really mess up with the ethos of it? Do they have the power to? Or is it like Bitcoin where it's decentralized and no single entity can really fuck it up?
Okay. So it's not exactly like Bitcoin because for what even is Bitcoin? If you ask the question, right? Let's say I'm running some kind of software, a Bitcoin node. That node that I'm running, the choice of the software that I'm doing is defining what Bitcoin is for me,
Correct.
right? I can choose to make Bitcoin not have 21 million, the limit of 21 million coins. I can make it so that it has 22 million coins or 42 million coins. That way, that becomes Bitcoin for me, but no one else is going to call it Bitcoin because no one else is going to be in consensus with the rules of the network that I have created. So I'll not even have a network. I'll just be sitting alone in my basement. Like how the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Satoshi Vision guys learned.
Correct.
That you can change the software, but if no one wants to change it as well along with you, then you just get split away and you become a niche thing. And whatever is the most popular thing is the Bitcoin for those guys, right? For the world, essentially. Nostr is not like that. Because there is no need for everyone to agree on one particular set of data and set of rules to follow. That creates also a problem. So let's say there is NIP ABC. Let's just call it NIP ABC. Instead of giving it a number, let's call it NIP ABC. And that NIP is for defining how spreadsheets on Nostr works. It doesn't exist yet. There are no way of doing Google Sheets like things. I mean, there might be some ways, but let's say someone comes up with a way of doing Google Sheets like things on Nostr, and he calls it NIP ABC. Someone else comes up with the same thing, and he calls it NIP XYZ. And these two are incompatible. They are not interoperable because this guy is using kind 100, this guy is using kind 200.
Okay.
And some app developers start using this thing, this sub protocol, this NIP. And some app developers start using the other protocol. So in some apps, you will see this thing being adopted. Some users will be able to communicate of those apps. And some other apps, those will be fragmented and those guys will be using some other system altogether.
Which is not good.
Which is not good. So to solve that, the easiest solution would be to have a centralized party that says this is the official NIP and this is the unofficial NIP, which was the case initially in the beginning. So we do not have a registered government registered organization that controls which are the official and unofficial NIPs, but we do have a GitHub organization. GitHub organization is nothing but a bunch of GitHub accounts that came together and they have permissions to allow updating and not updating the GitHub repository. So that's a centralizing factor. But also that factor forces everyone to come together and create one interoperable thing. So this is the biggest problem with Nostr, which so far has not shown up to be a big problem, much of a big problem at all. But it's that you either centralize it completely, or the spectrum of it is that you centralize it completely, or that you let anyone come up with their own nips, own way of doing things. Each app can define its own way of doing things, and now you have fragmentation. So there are things like PubKey, which is also a protocol that's similar to Nostr in some ways, and it's also trying to create this web that is user centric and sovereign. The user is a sovereign individual there. And then you have Blue Sky, you have Mastodon, you have different things. Right? You have what's that called? Web 5.
These are all protocols.
These are all protocols.
So they are similar to Nostr, but they are not a part of Nostr.
No, not at all. Yeah, they're
Interesting.
completely different. So there are
Just like there are many other like coins,
yeah.
like Ethereum and Solana and all of this that came up after Bitcoin became big.
Yeah.
So Nostr became big, and now they are like,
Most of them are actually, other than PUBG, I think most of the other things existed even before Nostr. Or at least like were being worked on even before Nostr was developed. So Nostr is an evolution of something called Secure Scuttlebutt, SSB, which itself is an evolution of something else. So Nostr is the evolution where this thing just took off. So before those things, like they had some flaws, they had some different designs of how it works.
kind of like Bitcoin again.
Yeah,
Even Bitcoin is it was built on the shoulders of
yeah.
giants.
Yeah, all those other, like we have a Bitcoin white paper here. If you check the reference, all the things that were worked on, B Money or what was the Nick Szabo's thing, BitGold. So all those ideas existed at least, or some eCash by David Chom. So all those things existed, and all those things came together eventually to make Bitcoin, and it just took off.
Yeah.
So Nostr also is similar in that way, and then all these protocols, and most of these protocols do not even try to come into conclusion about what should be the canonical way of doing a certain thing.
Okay.
So Nostr is different from all those protocols in the sense that it tries to force everyone to be interoperable. Basically, let's say there is a YouTube-like thing that I'm working on. I'm encouraged to build it in a way that is compatible with already existing YouTube-like apps, if there are.
When you say encouraged, it sounds like it's just a suggestion,
Yes.
but you can choose to act differently.
Yes. So let's take the example of DMs.
Okay.
So there are multiple ways of doing DMs.
Yeah.
So on Nostr, so there are different apps that do DMs differently. So DMs is a really good use case. I mean, really good study that you can do about Nostr. You can try with different apps. You can send one DM from, let's just have two accounts or profiles, and try to send DMs between different apps to those profiles, and you'll see that some apps support some forms of DMs, some apps do not support the forms of apps DMs that were being sent by those apps.
Interesting.
So there is a fragmentation there. So
And that's bad user experience.
that's really bad user experience. So how do you balance it? It's that again, we do not have a perfect solution for it. Fiat Jeff does not want to have a NIPS GitHub repository at all. He says we have done enough. We have the base. Now that let's people do whatever they want. They will start developing a NIP. They will create an app. They will say, okay, this is my way of doing these things. Maybe let's say private replies. I reply to someone, but it's private, and the only person that can see is me and you. I'm replying to you, for example. That's not something that exists yet, but people are working on it. So let people do it their way. Let there be a system on Nostr itself where they can find out who else is trying to do the same thing. Like these NIPs that exist. Let them communicate with themselves, and let the majority of developers settle on something which will become the standard eventually.
Let the market figure its own way out. I like that.
Yeah. That also is a bit problematic for UX. So I think the GitHub repositories should be there, because the thing with Nostr is that the centralized authority that decides which SNPs will be accepted that does not make your content somehow censorable. It does not make the list of relays that you use somehow pre-configured. It does not dictate anything else about the user. It just dictates how the particular data will be structured and how it will be shared.
But that limits innovation.
That limits innovation. Yeah.
And that limits the opportunity of people to come up with something better and win the market. Maybe because they're better, maybe because they're very good at marketing.
Yeah.
But that it does put a strong limit on innovation, like the whole Type C rule that EU has come up with, that like all chargers now have to be Type C.
Yeah.
It's supposed to protect the people. It's supposed to give people the option that you just buy one charger and charge all your devices with it. But it also limits innovation.
Yeah.
Now we are stuck with a model.
Yeah.
What if there is a better way to do it? What if there is a much more efficient way to do it? We are stuck.
Yeah.
So I see that there is a compromise involved, but my instinct is to support more openness and more innovation.
Yeah.
And let the market decide who the winner should be.
That's what Fiatzev wants, because he does not want to be the guy who is dictating what goes into the NIPS repo, what becomes an official NIP. There is no such thing as an official NIP. But anyway, he doesn't want to be the guy doing that. But and also, like, I somewhat align with that philosophy. But my one side of me also says that, okay, no, let's there be a centralized entity. And another thing about two more things that I'll mention in this like in this topic is that the other apps that other protocols that I mentioned, PubKey Core or Web5, these do not even try to define what the sub protocols will be or what the NIPS equivalent things will be. What they want is they want to allow all the apps to come up with their own way of doing things. So if you're using app 1 and another person is using app 1, they're still writing to your relays or your servers, but app B will not be able to, like, app B might have a completely different way of doing things.
Okay.
So they do not even want to think about it. All they want to define is the data structure part, how all the data will be there, and how the communication will happen between the server and relays, and the identity part. So they do not want to get into these parts at all, which is something that Nostr tried, and Nostr succeeded. That's why, like, all these apps can intercommunicate, interoperate. So
what's the difference between Nostr and these apps? I don't follow.
So PubKey is like, let's say the PubKey core protocol that we take. It is like, in Nostr terms, it defines what the relay will be, what the APIs of the relay will be to get data, to write data, to read data, all those things. It defines what format the public key or the private key will be, how it will be generated, and how it will be like how it will represent you. That's it, pretty much. Then
is it built on top of Nostr?
No. It's a different thing.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
How is it different from Nostr?
Because then you do not have the sub protocols that are defined at all. It is suppose each app becomes its own sub protocol. Basically, each app comes with its own set of NIPs that the developers decided.
Okay.
So they are not even trying to
interoperable with all the other apps.
They are not even trying to make the apps interoperable.
Not PubKey, but the app itself. Like if I'm an app, let's say I am app A operating on PubKey.
Yeah.
And there are, like, let's say 12 other apps, right? 13 apps in total. And all these other apps are also famous on PubKey, right? So what I will try to do as app A is I will make sure that whatever sub protocols that app B, C, D, E, F are using, my app
will support
and will be able to, like, transmit and repackage the data for people who are on my app, and same the other way around. And then it will sort of become this sort of, that it will again lead to some kind of centralization, because you can't do it for every single app.
Yeah.
If I'm app A, to maintain that interoperability with like a million different apps is not possible. It would take too much effort. So you would just do it with the Pareto principle. If I'm covering 80, 90, 95%, 99%, whatever of the audience, by just taking these 10, 12 different apps and making them interoperable, I'll just do that. And until and unless some newcomer just like bursts up, which happens every now and then, that some newcomer, like even in the social media world, like Insta came up, and then like TikTok came up, and every now and then you have something new, Snapchat came up, that like comes and bursts up, and suddenly the network effects align there. And then only the incentive will change, like, okay, now there's this app Q, and this Q app also I'll have to make interoperable, because now there's so many people here using it.
So yeah, it's a set of compromises that you have to make while designing a protocol like this. And another thing, the second thing that I was going to mention is, because it is not like Bitcoin, where all of us have to come into consensus about what the state of the data is, state of the blockchain is. For Nostr to win, it does not have to be Nostr. So let's say Nostr just takes off and we move away from all these things, and then we realize that Nostr has like the data is in JSON format, so it's not efficient. It could be binary or whatever. Like, we don't have to get into technical details, but let's say it's not efficient enough, or it can be made better somehow, and some other protocol comes along. In case of Bitcoin, what happens is you cannot own Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash simultaneously unless you owned them before the split.
Correct.
Right? You cannot own Bitcoin and Bitcoin. Right now, you cannot go and buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash both with the same amount of money. You'll have to choose one. So it is just by the design of how money works, there has to be one coin that's like accepted by everyone. There has to be a version of Bitcoin that's accepted by everyone. Like, if someone says Monero is better than Bitcoin, then you have to say that, okay, like, you have to trust that Monero will take over Bitcoin and it will become the dominant currency. Otherwise, it's not going to stay relevant, even if it is private. So with Nostr, that's not the case. The same network effect doesn't apply. It's not a winner-take-all kind of scenario. If something better comes along, your app can support both Nostr and that protocol. It is posting on Nostr as well as on that protocol.
Interesting.
Right? So you get some kind of dynamic where I hope that once Nostr is bootstrapped enough, even if Nostr does not evolve, I hope Nostr evolves as well. Like, Nostr also like solves a lot of problems. Even if Nostr cannot solve all its problems, and it's just for whatever reason, because the NIPS repo is centralized, or maybe because it went into the other end of the spectrum where everyone is creating their own apps and they're not interoperable at all. Whatever happens, let's say Nostr is in a like very shitty place and it's not usable anymore. There can be another protocol built by some random guy again, or built by some corporation, or built by the government. Does not matter. Like, someone can create a protocol, and people can slowly migrate over into that protocol from Nostr. So it's not a winner-take-all scenario in case of these kind of protocols. So yeah, if something better than HTTP comes along, it's very unlikely that browsers will move, all the apps will move into using HTTP. But I think HTTP 3, or there's like a new version of HTTP that someone has come up with, and people are starting to support it. People are starting to look into it, and people are trying to migrate their like tech stack to use HTTP 3. So that thing can happen on Nostr as well. You can have Nostr 2.0, or you can have something other than Nostr, completely different. And the thing about Nostr is that because you have censorship, because you have ownership of your data, because you have your private key and public key, because you have complete privacy using encryption, because you have all these amazing things that do not exist in the traditional world, you get a better world already. And from there on, you can have an improvement, and it's not a bad thing to. It's not going to be a sad thing if Nostr dies tomorrow, because people move on from Nostr to a better protocol.
And for that to happen, they don't have to port their old data or anything.
They don't have to leave behind their old data.
Yeah, they can just use their existing servers, existing relays, and make them compatible with the new protocol that has come up.
If those servers start supporting it, if those apps start supporting it, then slowly it can happen. So it's not going to happen most likely in the next probably 10-15 years, I don't know, because Nostr has it has flaws, but it's not flawed enough that it makes sense to create another thing right now. I think it still has flaws, obviously, but the flaws are minute, and it works well enough. And we have seen it times and times again that if something works well enough in software, in the IT world, in the digital world, then if it is good enough, then it just takes over everything. Like JavaScript. JavaScript is running on every browser, and a lot of backends as well, and a lot of apps that you install, even if those are native apps, like if you're using Slack or Discord as a native app, that's also built using JavaScript. It's just bundled into a native application. And JavaScript was not meant for that. JavaScript was there just to like add some basic functionality to websites. Then it had to be evolved. And even though there are 100 different languages that are better than JavaScript, they're not able to compete with it. So because it's so widely adopted, no one just wants to change it just because something is 10% better or 20% better or 30% better. So same thing with Nostr. We can create a protocol that's 10% more efficient than Nostr. We can do it today, but who is going to use it? Most people are not going to use it.
And we can change the Nostr protocol to make it better if it finds a competitor
Yeah.
without sacrificing on your existing data and history and posts and connections. You can just have a new NIP that comes and adopts whatever is better about the new protocol, right?
Yeah, and then people, if enough apps support it, if enough relays support it, then slowly it becomes, it migrates into this new thing. Nostr can obviously evolve. So the point is not that, again, it comes back to trusting that humanity is going to not fuck up, because that's all you can do at the end, right? Once you remove authority, once you remove these centralizing forces who have a lot of control over you, now you have to trust that everyone will do the best that they can do. At least the majority will be doing the best that they can do, and it will keep evolving into something better.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
This brings me to unfuck the internet, or cyber Swaraj as it is called now. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah. So the guy from Formster, Abhay, and me, and initially we also had the Vivek from Kanbanster. So Kanbanster is Kanban boards on Nostr. So
What is that?
You can see those sticky notes, right?
Yeah.
Those, post-it notes.
Yeah.
So you have the concept of Kanban boards where you have a doing list, you have a done list, you have a backlog or to-do list, and you just move over those things. So Jira or GitHub issues, those are examples of GitHub projects. Those are examples of Kanban boards.
Okay.
And people use them to manage their to-do lists or
Yeah.
projects in companies and stuff. So Kanbanster is an application that allows you to do that using Nostr.
Okay.
Private and public events, like it can be encrypted, it can be open to everyone. So yeah, he was also part of this thing, and he has not been able to make it to the last few events. He'll probably, hopefully, will come back again. So yeah, we just decided, because we three all live in Bangalore, and we're all Nostr devs, and we became friends. So we decided we'll start doing some kind of event in BitSpace, and because all the events that are hosted by Bitshala, they're all Bitcoin specific events.
Correct.
And Bitshala is a Bitcoin developer education institute. So they only target Bitcoin developers. Now they have started targeting Bitcoin designers. I think probably in collaboration with Bitcoin Design, because I think one guy is working with Bitcoin Design as well. So yeah, that's what they do. They basically Bitcoin development, hardcore Bitcoin development focused. And I realized that there is a lack of privacy or sovereignty or freedom tech. Let's call it freedom tech. Freedom tech focused community in India, not just Bangalore, in India overall, or events or conferences. Those don't exist. So why not do something where we strictly do not mention Bitcoin, where we keep our mouths shut? Because then there are like these organizations, FOSS United, and then I think another organization, and they have a strong view against cryptocurrencies or blockchains.
Okay.
Where if you try to promote something, like the last Unfuck the Internet or the Cyber Swaraj event that I tried promoting in one of their Telegram groups, one guy was like, "Oh, this is a crypto event," because he saw Bitshala's bio on the Luma event page that said hosted by Bitshala, a Bitcoin education. Like he's like, "Oh, Bitcoin, we cannot have it." So not just them. I'm not just pointing them out, but there is like this broader community of people who do not like to even hear about the word Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, or even if you mention cryptography, they kind of like look at you suspiciously, because like, oh, what's going on there? Because they immediately associate it with scams, right? So our thing was that we have all the Bitcoin stickers here, we have the Bitcoin white paper posted, we have all the Bitcoin books, we have the Omega candle, we have a Bitcoin memes book, we have this guy, we have a lot of things here, and it's a proper Bitcoiner space. We have all the Bitcoiners working from this space. That why not utilize this space and host a privacy focused event? We'll probably call it privacy, we'll probably call it Web3 without blockchain or something. We're just discussing that will bring in all these people who are enthusiastic about privacy, enthusiastic about not even enthusiastic, they have an intuition inside of them, where they can feel that the traditional way of doing all these communications are wrong, and we have better ways of doing them. So why not bring them together into this Bitcoin space where they can cross-pollinate with Bitcoiners, and that can be, once the event is done, they can talk to Bitcoiners and see that they can get a feel of what kind of people we are, basically. because obviously there are Bitcoiners who will also come to this event, right? And so we started calling it Unfuck the Internet. But that was a bit too toxic for some people. And Abhay
I like the
suggested-
name.
Yeah, even I like the name, man. I like it really, really well. But Abhay was like, no, we have to change it. And Abhay and me were already doing a Hindi or English podcast called Cyber Swaraj. So we're like, okay, let's call it Cyber Swaraj IRL, and that will be the Cyber Swaraj podcast. And we can record
IRLS?
in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we call it now, Cyber Swaraj. There basically it's Nostr focused, but not just Nostr. We have covered Graphene OS, how to install them, how it works. We have covered private AI, local AI. We have talked about it. We'll probably do a workshop soon. Probably next month we'll have a workshop where we give everyone guidance on installing some local LLM on their system and running it locally without exposing any data to any service provider. And we have covered Reticulum, we have covered Tor, we have talked about Tor, and we'll keep doing it. So we have all these things to talk about: Tor, Reticulum, Mestra Stake, BitChat, what else? Even simple things like asking people to there's a mosquito. Asking people to install. Like one of my plans is to have a basic workshop for beginners or noobs where they will install what's that? Aurora Store, I think it's called Aurora Store, which gives you the Play Store catalog, but without having to log in using your Google account.
Okay.
So it allows you to install apps from the list of apps that are available in Play Store. Maybe we'll get them to install that app. Then from there, maybe Brave browser, and migrate all your passwords and everything from Chrome to Brave, and then disable Chrome. And then what else can we do? We just do those sorts of things. Maybe we get them to install Obscura VPN or some kind of VPN app. And yeah, we just give them the basic setup that they need to, because even 25% of the effort is like 80% of the results, right? You don't have to be a hardcore like Bitcoin maxi with like a tinfoil hat. You don't have to get an Graphene OS phone without any SIM card and you just only use it there with location permissions off. You don't have to do all those things. Most people do not have the time or the patience to sit and do all those things. So we'll give them a very simple blueprint. We'll handhold them. We'll just invite them and then we'll go through the entire thing and we'll let them do this. And that's one of the plans. And then we'll keep talking about Reticulum. We'll probably have Nostr developer workshops where devs who are interested in Web3 and what else it is called? dApps and all sorts of like buzzwords. We invite them in and then we're like, psych, it's going to be Nostr. It's not going to be Web3. And yeah, so that's the plan. And that's
you shouldn't have revealed that.
Oh shit. But yeah.
But is there somewhere that you would like to lead people to? Maybe your podcast, maybe your page on some app that you're using?
Our website is not updated.
Okay.
And we are in the process of raising it as a company so that we can sell Bitcoin nodes and sell hosted stuff. And I'm not sure if the domain name is going to stay the same.
Okay.
So the best thing would be to install a Nostr app.
Mm-hmm.
And you can probably link my profile and the company's profile and Abhay's profile, all of our profiles in the description.
I shall.
Yeah, and people can follow us there.
Yeah. There's a lot more to talk about. Honestly, I'm still like brimming with questions.
Yeah.
But I think I've taken enough of your time for the day.
Yeah.
We should do an episode 2 of this sometime.
Yeah.
I have a lot more questions. Like my notes is just questions.
Yeah. I'd love to like continue this conversation. It's been really fun.
Awesome. This has been amazing, man. Thank you.
Thank you as well.